Happy lunch hour, gang. All right, this video, we're going to do one of the financial university ones here because I've got a few questions in live streams asking about this. I've got emails asking about this, comments under videos and stuff like that. But this was just one email I got here. Michael sent me this the other day. Won't give you his full name. It says, "Good morning, Pinball. Hope you and your family are doing well. Can you please do a financial podcast covering dividend stocks and all the ins and outs and details of it? For example, the taxable ramifications of the dividends, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera." Okay. Sure. All right. I want to kind of get into a little bit more than just the finite here, but I want to explain it. I'm also going to put this out. This is not the only way to do it. This is the way I do it. I'm not giving you financial advice. I'm just trying to teach you guys a little bit on how I do things. Some of you guys could be way more advanced than what I'm going to explain. Some of you may be complete newbies to this and go, "Oh, I didn't even know that." Okay. So I'm giving this as a general idea, but it's what I do. It ain't rocket science, okay? There's more to it, but I want to get into it. Now, I'm also going to throw this caveat in here. This is one section of things I own, okay? Yes, I own gold and silver. Yes, I own dividend-paying stocks. Yes, I own real estate. Yes, I own some Bitcoin, okay? We're there, all right? I've got a little bit of everything. As I kind of joke, my investment strategy is kind of a combination between Warren Buffett and Michael Saylor. If you know who Michael Saylor is, he's the guy you see on TV all the time, CEO of MicroStrategy, who's buying Bitcoin, okay? So it's dividend-paying stocks, value companies, which I'm going to talk about today, and then also volatility with things like technology. Okay, just going there. But I just want to focus on the dividend stuff today. Because trust me, I could give a 3-day seminar on all of this. But the very first thing you need to do when you are trying to figure out your money, okay, and I'm going to use retirement, for example, because that's one goal everybody has. Not everybody's got to put kids through college. Not everybody's trying to save for a house. But everybody one day is hoping to go, "Boss, here's my resignation notice. I'm done." Okay, so it's got death, taxes, and retirement. Two we know we got, one we all want. All right. So what you need to figure out is how you're still going to have money in retirement. And this is something that people go at willy-nilly. I always found it funny. When I was a broker, when I was working in corporate America, you get your 401k sheet, your election sheet, right? It's like, oh, put 20% in this and 30% in this and 10% in this and 5% in this, or whatever the numbers are. And you really have no idea what it is because nobody ever taught you, okay? What's the difference between value stocks and growth stocks? What's the difference between growth stocks and income stocks, right? Large cap, mid cap, small cap. Capitalization is what cap means, okay? What the company's worth. But those are the things that really need to be taught and people need to learn. But the big thing that we all come up with is, how much money do I need to have in retirement? And everybody always goes at it backwards. They go, you need to have $1.4 million or $2 million. You see all this on YouTube, on commercials, on literature that's sent to you. How are you ever going to get to $2 million? Stop, okay? That is all crap, all right? You need to work at this backwards. How much does your lifestyle cost you now? And I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, and a lot of you guys it was an aha moment for you. A lot of you had mentioned that it was a great idea. How much does my lifestyle cost me every day? And you figure that out. okay? And you go, holy crap, I could save $2 a day if I do this. And over a week, that's 10. And over a year, that's 520. And crap, there's extra money, right? You figured that out. So what you need to do when you're planning, and we'll use, again, retirement as the example, is what does it cost you to maintain your lifestyle today? Is this the same lifestyle you want to have in retirement? Some people may say yes, some people may say no, whatever. Rule of thumb in the financial world is you need 70 to 80% of your current income to live on in retirement. To that I say, bullshit, okay? Because sure, you're not going to have to pay the gasoline to go back and forth to work every day when you retire. If you're in an office, you're not going to have to pay a dry cleaning bill for your dress or your shirt or whatever it would be. Okay, so you're not going to have that. But as you get older, guess what? Your medical bills are going to go up. Right? You're going to see the doctor more often. We wear out. Trust me, I'm feeling it. So you kind of have to put that into play. So I've always kind of gone on the premise of I need 100% of my current income working to maintain my lifestyle in retirement. Because I'm still going to have to buy groceries. I'm still going to have to pay the electric bill, the car insurance bill, the phone bill, whatever it would be. Again, hopefully you got the house paid off, the car's paid off. Okay, we're not even getting into that. So how do I go about doing this? Well, the first thing you got to do, and I will put a link below to it, but this is the best planner that I've ever seen. And you can adjust all these numbers around to give you an idea of what you need to do, all right? So you're going to put in there how old you are, how long you think you're going to live, what you currently have in the way of savings, what you think you're going to need. Again, I used 100% of your salary. Put inflation in there, all that sort of, and it's going to give you a general idea to start. But now you need to take out some of those things. And I'll make up numbers here, for example. Let's say you get, your salary is $60,000 pre-tax. That's what you live on now. So go for that $60,000 in pre-tax income. Great, okay. Now, when you retire, you're going to collect Social Security. Let's say you get $20,000 in Social Security. Okay, so now what I need to come up with an income for the rest of my life is $40,000 a year. Do you have a pension plan? Do you have annuities? Do you have something, not everybody's got that, but you may have those things. Plug all that in here. That's the first part. Then you look at a second page that you have on here, and it's going to get you into your tax rates, what inflation's going to be, put those in too, okay? And my assumption always is I want to overestimate the negatives and underestimate the positives. So I'm figuring on a higher tax rate than I'll probably be and a higher inflation rate than we'll probably have. That way I'm preparing for the worst case scenario, okay? So that gives you that. It's all right. So now you figure all this out, you get your answers, and you go, oh, all right, in retirement, I need to have, let's say, a 10% return of how much money I expect to have to maintain my income. Oh, crap. Okay, how am I going to get a 10% return? You aren't doing that buying CDs. You aren't doing that buying bonds. God knows when I watched this morning's video, I would not be buying bonds for my life. Not corporates, not treasuries, not nothing, okay? Because when the bond market tanks, the bond market's going to tank, right? And as we get older, we also want to avoid taking risk, okay? Well, you buy a CD, there's basically no risk in it, but there's also no return in it. So the objective here is to get your risk down as much as possible, but you got to get that return up. So that's what I'm striving for. I'm just about 59 years old. I'm getting somewhat risk averse, but not totally. I figure out, hopefully I've still got 30 years left on Earth. 25 maybe. Okay, 25 is basically life expectancy is what I figure for me. Okay, but this is where I go into my Warren Buffett, Michael Saylor strategy. I've got some stuff that's safe. Okay, gold and silver, blue chip stocks. I've got some stuff that's risky. All right, a little bit of Bitcoin. Sure. Hopefully, I get a growth in Bitcoin to offset what I can't get in the way of dividends. So I want you to look at this. All right, and this is the beginning of we're talking about picking dividends. Now, I don't know if you've got a Schwab account or an E-Trade account or who you have an account with. All right. I have Schwab, so I'm just going to kind of look at here. But if you go into the research page on your account, you'll find somewhere in there what's called Stock Screener. That's what you want to look for, okay? And then when you get into that, all right, then what you want to do is start screening stocks. Go figure. This is how I do it. All right. So the first thing I want to look at is dividend yield. If I know I need to get to 10%, right? That's what I need to maintain that income I got. Let's start looking for high dividend paying stocks. So I go to the dividend, I look for the annual dividend yield, and I put in there on the center right, anything over 6.0. Okay, this is where I set my bar. I don't want to buy anything that's under 6%. Okay. That gives me 642 companies. That's a little much to go through. All right, so I want to go into the second part of it. And this is where I'm getting risk averse. So I'm looking for companies that are undervalued. And so I want to look at the valuation. I want to look at price to earnings, and TTM is what you're looking for. That's trailing 12 months. That's the last 12 months, what the price of the stock is to the earnings of the company. The S&P on average is about 17%. That's fair market values. It should be. The S&P is like at 26 or 28 right now. We are overvalued. The market is overvalued, guys. Just telling you. Okay. Fair value is about 17%. So I want to find stocks that are under fair value. So again, here I'm going to click on, just because these are my options, the under 10 and the 10 to 20. And then I'm just going to have to use my brain and go, okay, 18 is more than 17, so I don't want it. But that brings down my matches down to 210 from 648. Okay, we're getting better. All right, so then the next thing I want to do is I want to filter this out by market capitalization. All right, I don't want to be finding rinky-dink little companies that you've never heard of, and try to go after something like that. That's increasing my risk. So I'm looking for blue chips, okay? I'm looking for well-established, long-term, large companies. And so I put in mid-cap and large cap, which basically means small, medium, and large. So you're looking at medium and large companies. Okay, don't have a choice for mega cap, but we're getting in there. So that brings me down to 38 stocks. Okay, I can live with looking through 38 stocks. That's not a problem whatsoever. So then that gives me my list. And if I want to go through it, we'll take a look at this here. Now I want to use my brain. I've got it sorted out where I'm only looking at high dividend paying stocks that are undervalued. So now I want to go into my Warren Buffett strategy. Walk through your house, see what you buy, companies you are familiar with, and invest in those. Okay. Now we got this down to 38 companies. It shouldn't be that difficult, right? Well, if I look at this page, I don't know, Ares Capital Corporation, Banco de Chile, Eco Petrol. There's a lot of foreign companies in here that trade on the New York Stock Exchange. I'm not interested in that. I don't want the foreign currency risk. All right. So I keep going down. All right. There's Mercedes. Maybe that's okay. Nothing. Here's one I know. Pfizer. I know we could get into everything about 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, and Pfizer. I get it. I'm using this as an example. Disclaimer, I own some Pfizer. Why? I'm trying to make some money. Okay. So Pfizer's got a 7.35 dividend. Doesn't get me to the 10. And it's got a PE that's under 17. Barely, 16.97, but okay. All right. Go down a little bit more. UPS, United Parcel Service. All right, it's got a dividend yield of 6 2/3, PE of 14. That's good. Okay. Verizon, there's another one I've heard of. 6.27 at a PE of 10.27. Undervalued company, good dividend. Great. Okay. That's how I'm going through picking these. But mind you this is not a hard list. If you watched my video, a couple of weeks ago, maybe almost a month ago at this point, where I was talking about annual percentage rate and annual percentage yield. This changes as the stock price changes. Okay? I own some Ford. I've told you guys that many times. Right now, Ford isn't on my buy list. Why? Well, Ford pays 60 cents a year in dividends. So with Ford's price right now being like $10.20, its dividend yield is under 6%. So now it's not a buy for me. If Ford goes down to $9.90, now Ford hits my list again. This is how I'm picking the valuations of the company to try to get my returns. Again, this is the way I do it. Now, so there's a simple way. One, there's many that you can do. You can put all sorts of crazy stuff in here and figure it out to do what you want to do. But I'm trying to find undervalued, high dividend paying, large cap, mid cap stocks that I actually know and potentially use their products. Okay. So I'm investing in my day-to-day life. I'm investing in companies that I use in my day-to-day life. Okay. I know the companies. I know what they do. So then the question comes in, as asked in Michael's email, about taxes. This is really, really simple. Dividends are taxed at regular income rates. So in a cash account, not in your IRA. If you're doing this in an IRA, obviously, or a Roth IRA preferably, you're not paying income tax at all on those dividends, which is beautiful. Okay. And again, in that screener I showed you before, you can separate out what you've got: a traditional IRA, in a Roth IRA, or in a cash account. So it will help you calculate what your tax liability is. But so if you're doing this in a cash account, regular investment account, yes, you're going to pay income tax on the dividends. Okay? That's fine. It's at whatever your regular income tax rate is. Well, if you're paying 10%, if you're paying 15%, if you're paying 20%, you need to know that. That's going to reduce what your take home is. That's again why I'd say, if you have the ability to have a Roth IRA to save for it, great, because that's putting after-tax dollars in now, and then any growth and anything you take out 2, 5, 10, whenever you retire from now, you don't pay any taxes on it. Okay, so all that growth that you're getting in there is basically tax-free. Use that as an idea. Okay. It's just something I wanted to share, because a few of you guys have asked how I do it, why I do it. Personally, I need to get around a 9% return for us to retire. Okay? I've got my dividend paying stocks right now paying me about 7.5% for what I own. Don't have enough, still need to be saving money, still doing that, just like everybody else, okay? Ain't ready to retire. But if I can maintain that, that means I need to get 1.5% growth out of whatever I own to meet my retirement goals. That's not that difficult. Okay. Now, of course, you have all, gee, maybe I need to save more. You could come up with that, because you don't always want to go take more risk. Sure, you could go put everything in a high-risk investment and go, look at this. This thing returns 200% a year, until it doesn't. Until it goes, crap, I lost everything. Risk return is everything. They say higher risk, higher return, and lower risk, lower return. That is true, but if you work it right, you can bring your risks down and your returns up and find up somewhere in the middle. Again, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not telling you what to buy. I'm telling you how I do it and trying to educate you guys a little bit. We don't know what's going to happen. I have a feeling that as I said this morning, that the economy is going to completely crash. Let's go back to the 1970s. You all remember that. And that was 18, 19, 20% mortgages, all that sort of stuff. The stock market for the entire decade of the 1970s returned 17%. Yippee. Okay. But there were winners in there. Boeing, John Deere, Raytheon, Chevron. I mean, what are we talking there? Airplanes, tractors, defense contractor, oil. Yeah, all different sectors. But what did they have in common? They were all blue chip, low-valued stocks that wound up having great times. I think Boeing was up, it was either 600 or 800% in the decade. And I need to make 1.5 in a year. I think I'm on the right path. Just a little bit for education. Have a good one, gang. Pinball out.